Good blessed March the 21st, 2022. It's about 3:40 a.m. in the morning. I greet all human beings all around the world with the universal greetings of peace and the blessings of God be with you. Doesn't matter what your political, philosophical, personal, nor your religious beliefs may be. Doesn't matter whether you're the richest to the poorest person on the face of this earth. It doesn't even matter whether you're the proclaimed toughest to the proclaimed weakest person on the face of this earth. Doesn't matter if you're my family, friends, nor my proclaimed enemies. Doesn't matter whether you like me, my YouTube videos, or anything I say or do. That's your prerogative. I still greet you with that same universal greetings of peace and the blessings of God be with you. I'm up early this morning. I woke up. Couldn't sleep, got a surgery to be done this morning, and I want to try to get some of my legal things out of the way, and I wanted to make this YouTube video to tell people there's something about this corner right here. This corner happened to be maybe about 158 feet away from my house. It's Vine Street in Warhouse. It looked like they done. Oh, I thought they told the stop sign down, but I see it. But anyway, it's something about this street. It's something about some of the people here in this town, black and white, in all particular occupations. For some reason, some of them think that I'm weak. Some think that I'm stupid. You see what I'm saying? And some underestimate me because don't none really know me besides my two daughters and people that grew up with me. But I just want to say this here, this corner, you know, I've been an activist for some decades. Not just when I came down here in Charleston, Missouri. This is what I do. When I first came down here staying on Vine and Boom with my grandmother, I was an activist. When my grandmother passed and I moved to the projects on the south east side, I lived around black and white. Matter of fact, one of the highest ranking officials here in Charleston, Missouri, the Mississippi County coroner, he lived in the same projects that I lived in, him and his family. It was black and white there. I know he know, and all the black and whites that was living in that area around Rodney and 9th Street, anywhere in that area. One of my military buddies, who's my neighbor now, he was one of my neighbors then, but he lived in a house. He seen the way I trained my dog and he asked me to train his. That's one of the talents that God gave me. But anyway, when there was disputes, anybody that grew up with me around the Rodney area or Vine and Boom, before I moved down here on Vine near Warhouse, they'll tell you I'm no different. At jobs when people had problems that couldn't be solved by talking to management or corporate, I sat down and took my time with them, didn't charge them a penny. Only thing I needed was their undivided attention, and successfully helped them file with the Missouri Commission on the Human Rights in the EEOC, the Equal Employment Opportunity, to file discrimination charges and retaliation charges, sexual harassment charges. And they were successful, even lawsuits. I even filed a couple of myself. When I file, I don't file at first for monetary gain. I file to get my respect. You see what I'm saying? To make people stop discriminating against me. But this corner back in about 2016. Even though me and the guy, we talk now, he was on this corner saying some things to children concerning me negatively, and what he was saying wasn't true. And one of my neighbors told me about it on the same corner now. I went down there with my camera, doing what I'm doing now, and confronted him. Now, he didn't call the police, but it was some other people, a female that seen me videoing, and called the police and told the police I was videoing children's. The police went to download or look at my YouTube video, and he determined that I wasn't videoing children's. I was videoing the one individual that was down there telling the children's things about me that wasn't true. Just defending myself, documenting it. But this call from this female caused the police to call the individual that I was videoing. The individual didn't call him. The police called him. Then they put an outstanding warrant on me for exercising my First and 14th Amendment right. This is what I've been going through in Charleston, Missouri, Mississippi County. Now, out of all the judges, all the police in Charleston, Missouri, all the Mississippi County sheriffs, deputies and sheriffs, and didn't nobody see anything wrong with them putting an outstanding warrant for me for just this video, and y'all. And when I went down to the police station to press charges on one of my neighbors that was disturbing our peace, the sergeant and the chief of police told me I had an outstanding warrant for me for stalking, harassment, intimidation of doing what I'm doing right now, going down here, correcting the individuals that's telling some children something negatively about me. I was arrested. Then while I was the little few hours that I was down at the police station, I got a phone call from the Children and Family Service at the in the lockup of the Mississippi County Jail, saying, I heard you was locked up, Mr. Ivy, who got your kids? Then I get one from the department. The department agent came in there to visit me with the same crooked police that filed these charges on me. They called the individual down to the police station to file charges against me. And she asked me, where was my daddy at? See, they thought I didn't have anybody down here. They raced it to my house. The Department of Aging, Children and Family Service, and the police had my house surrounded. But my then 10 and 11-year-old daughters played possum on them. They was asking my neighbors, where's the children's at? See, we had unity in this community. They knew what they was trying to do. The brief time they had me in there, they gonna try to take my children's like what they've been trying to do for years. My 11-year-old was getting my daddy, he was in his 80s then with dementia, packing his stuff, packing her stuff, packing her sister's stuff until they left. And the Underground Railroad transferred them to safety from these police, from the Department of Children and Family Services, from the Department of Aging. And I got out and went and got my children's. But now, I was tried, convicted, and put on 2 years probation for this now. Solely because of this one female that called. But most of these people that call on me, falsely call things on me or falsely do something to me, all you got to do is just check around and see where they at when it comes to a lot of this stuff that's negatively going on in Charleston, Missouri. You won't tie it to me. But now, on this same corner, 2 guys kept harassing me on the Charleston, Missouri Housing Authority apartment. Property over there by the Housing Authority's little office right there. And I called the police. The police didn't do nothing to him, but sat there and laughed with him, and I got it on video. But now, here it is. I was complaining about just trying to, I didn't start off complaining, but I started off by just asking these people, can you keep the children from pushing the leaves and the trash in my bushes, because we keep it clean around here. This is a family that moved from down the street, a little bit past that green SUV. I continuously did it. Then I started videoing it. Then I started complaining to the housing authority foreman several times. From December, January, February. Then I went to the executive director of the housing authority. Did nothing, but barred me from this place for sending my video to HUD. He said that something concerning the housing authority employees and the housing authority tenants, they don't feel safe with my ranting and raving in my anger. You see, my anger wasn't a threat to anybody. My anger was because of the fact that I did this in December several times of 2021, several times in January of 2022, several times in February of 2022, all the way up to March. But now, the individual that lives there, the record would show, if anybody would be afraid of anybody, be afraid of him. He on probation for a gun. But then just recently, on the 19th of March, 2021, on the same corner again, y'all, I was just videoing after when me and my two daughters were preparing to go to Carbondale to memorialize the first year of my son being lynched, killed down there, murdered down there in Carbondale, Illinois, which they tried to say is a suicide. I was out here about 7-something in the morning, and here's a guy that don't live here, don't live in this neighborhood, a guy on 15 years probation for shooting somebody in Sikeston, Missouri. My cameras show him come from around this corner of this house, same house that I've been complaining about, come within maybe about less than 10 feet from me, telling me to shut off my camera. Now I'm wondering if this female that seen me videoing these children, as she's saying, or any of these other people that criticize me in this town, did they see this, or did the police, why they didn't call me and ask me to come down to the police station and press charges on this felon that approached me, on this felon that was trespassing on the housing authority property? I'm gonna tell you why they didn't do it. Because he's white. You see what I'm saying? And I just want to say this here. I have tried to get the support of the black leaders here in Charleston, Missouri, shoe fit wide. Haven't got none. The same with in Carbondale, Illinois, with my son being hung. I done wrote certified letters, 3 of them, to the black Illinois Attorney General. January the 3rd, certified mail to his office in Carbondale, to his office in Chicago, and to his office in Springfield. He hasn't, or anybody in his office haven't even responded to me, as if I didn't even do it. I called. I joined the NAACP, me and my 2 young daughters, 15 and 16, going on 16 and 17. I called the national chapter several times, complaining about my son's death, asking them to help me get an investigation going on. Because the Carbondale, Illinois Police Department and the Jackson County, Illinois prosecuting attorney trying to say he committed suicide. But if you look at the Freedom of Information Act that I have, the autopsy and everything else, it'll show he was murdered and placed up there. When you look at them pictures, there's no way a human being could have hung themselves. But I can't get a local chapter, the national chapter. Now I had the Missouri State Conference president have me to send him my information, and he got it and had his volunteers to look over it, and he said he sent it to the Illinois chapter and to some more high-ranking law enforcement, federal law enforcement officials, but ain't nobody talking to me. But I get a call yesterday about 3:00 p.m. From the national chapter of the NAACP asking me to join in their movement to have this newly selected Supreme Court justice be put in the Supreme Court that Biden has nominated. They said they'll get back with me today, but they can't get back with me when I call. They can't get back with me when I write, but they can send a letter to the Cook County judge in the Jesse Smogans case. They can sit down there and support, and ain't nothing wrong with it, in the Ahmaud Arbery case, George Floyd case, Breonna Taylor's case. But you know, it's something about my son, a black man who was found hung in March the 19th in 2021 in Carbondale, Illinois, in a hallway in a predominantly white neighborhood with money balled up in his hand. Ain't no way possible he hung himself. But I can't get none of these people to come together. That's why, I joined the NAACP to see if something will happen. But if you look at on March the 19th, 2022, you look and see how many black people was down there for the year anniversary for my son. Look at the YouTube, not one besides me and my two daughters. But it was some black people that didn't get in because some people is in the Underground Railroad. I know it's some people here in Charleston, Missouri that's praying for us. And I know a lot of my nieces and nephews, they praying for us and they doing their part. My oldest daughter doing her part, her kids doing their part in helping us get justice for my son. But you see, when we talk about it's a white guy down there in Carbondale. He made it real. He made it real simple. He said it's not a black and white thing. He said it's a right and wrong thing. He said your son didn't commit suicide, and the evidence showed that, and the police is covering it up. But you see, the police is wrong when they shoot a black guy that even got a gun, and we can get marches all over the place, even when they got a gun. You see what I'm saying? But my son was black. He was on parole. I mean, he was been to prison before. He was homeless, and he was on drugs. So he don't mean nothing to that black Illinois Attorney General. He don't mean nothing to the NAACP. He don't mean nothing to these other leaders. That's why, again, I told my daughters and them when they go to college or they go to the military, don't join none of these sororities. How many of these sororities or any of these other black groups or white groups you seen trying to help us with our attacks down here in Charleston, Missouri, or with any of our attacks or going up against the Carbondale, Illinois Police Department and the Jackson County, Illinois prosecuting attorney? You ain't seen none. But you seen black and whites that's not a part of none of these things. I told them to go with God. See, God supersede Masons. God supersede gangs. God supersede the House in the Senate. God supersedes the president. God supersedes all that. You see what I'm saying? But this corner, it reminds me of apartheid sometime. And some of y'all wonder why when Nelson Mandela came home, he divorced his wife for a reason. Y'all wonder sometime when Malcolm X came back from over in the third world countries, he changed some of the things that he thought because he seen it wasn't just it wasn't a black thing. He seen Muslim with blue eyes and blonde hair. You see what I'm saying? That allowed him to live in his palaces. You see what I'm saying? There wasn't no blue-eyed, blonde-haired people shooting at him, just like down here and in Carbondale, Illinois. It ain't just the white folks. It's black folks, too. But look at this corner and think about it. Willie Wilson, Dr. Willie Wilson, I admire what you're doing up in Chicago, but I agree with some people. Even though people may not do it, it'd be probably best and safer and more control of the traffic in Chicago, Cook County, and the suburbs, to give them some type of gift certificate, gas gift certificates, let them come to churches or someplace else, because eventually these ignorant carjackers, these ignorant individuals gonna get to fighting and shooting and killing. Peace be still.